Hello, happy Sunday friends, and welcome back to my channel on all things on our mini homestead. Bye! Welcome back! If you're new here, I'm Alexandria, and on this little homestead, the sourdough rises, the chickens roam, and the garden slowly grows into something beautiful. Today I'm excited to share part 1 of our Chicken Garden Makeover Series. Today's video will be dedicated to installing the first half of my drip line system and bringing in topsoil into the chicken area. But before I get started, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for being here and supporting me. If you like my videos, feel free to like, share, and subscribe.
Welcome to a part of our backyard. This is the side yard that we will be renovating. I'm currently standing in what will be the chicken area, and the space behind the fence is where my dream garden will be built. We've been living in our home for about 2 years now, and this is what our side yard looked like prior to the start of our renovation. I wanted to go a completely different direction in this area. We used to have a large peach tree that we decided to cut down. We pulled up and sold all of the pavers, removed most of the landscape fabric. I sifted out a majority of the lava rocks that were behind the peach tree. We had the dirt leveled out. Then I had my fence and arbor built to separate my chicken area from the garden area. I made my first purchase with Drip Depot to get started on the first part of my drip line system. I'll be focusing on my chicken area first, that way I can move my chickens in sooner.
So I just wanted to give you guys a closer look at my purchase from Drip Depot. I ended up getting this 2-outlet hose timer. So you're able to run 2 systems off of it, which is perfect for my area. I'm going to have one system going to the garden area, and then the other system is going to be going into the chicken area. So this works perfect for my needs. I ended up getting a 1/2 inch mainline tubing, and then we'll be running 1/4 inch tubing off of this. I ended up purchasing this one right here from Amazon. It is a 4-in-1 adapter. It has a backflow preventer, it has a mesh filter, and then a 25 psi pressure regulator and an adapter. That will all connect to the 1/2 inch mainline tubing. And then these are my connectors. They're all 1/2 inch to connect to the main line. So I got 2 elbows and 1 T, and then these little figure 8s are my little end caps to the 1/2 inch tubing for areas that I need to close off. This was my second purchase with Drip Depot. I ended up getting a 1/4 inch tubing. I believe it was about 50 feet. And then I ended up getting these little barbs. Little barbs will connect to the end of the 1/4 inch tubing and then connected to the 1/2 inch tubing. And then these were the little shrubblers I also purchased. So these will be at the end of the 1/4 inch tubing, and this basically works like a little mini sprinkler from what I've seen. So I'll be putting these at the base of each one of my roses. And I also purchased this little guy. Basically it's just going to help me punch a hole in the tubing so I can connect everything. And then I ran over to my local Ace, which is down the street, to pick up some hose stakes, so then that way I can place everything where it needs to be and make it look a lot cleaner. To get everything hooked up to my spigot here, I'll go ahead and put my timer in the 4-in-1 adapter and then connect my mainline tubing, and then we're going to run it down right under here and then under the fence. I'll be having it come out right here, and then this is where I will be using that T connector. So one will go this way and then the other one will go that way. And basically I'm gonna have my mainline tubing run all the way to the end of the fence down there. So then run the other part this way all the way over there. And then once we get to this corner, I ended up getting the elbow connector, so that way we can run it down this way and then all the way down to the citrus tree. I ended up purchasing another elbow connector so that way I can connect it to the main line there, run it under the fence, come out here, and then run the rest of the main line tubing down that way. So let's go get started. Our water is off right now, so we'll go ahead and connect the timer. And then we got our 4-in-1 adapter. I'll just go ahead and attach that. And then I will connect my 1/2-inch mainline tubing to this end and then start running it under. Alright, so I just finished pulling some of the weeds and clearing this area so I can connect my mainline tubing and start laying it out. So I'm going to be making my first cut here. This is where I will be putting my T connector, so that way I can connect from the water supply, connect behind me, and then get a main line going this way. I have a pair of cutters, probably not the most appropriate way to cut this, but it does the job. So I'm giving it a little bit of leeway to the other side just because I know I have to stake it down. Now I'll just go ahead and put that connector, so same as the other side. And then now I'll just go ahead and run it all the way to the end of the fence behind me and make my cut there. So then that way I can add the other line to the other end and run it opposite way. This is what we're looking at right now. So I'm just gonna stretch it out and make my cut. So from the piece that I cut on that other end, this is just the mains, and I'm just going to attach one end to the remaining of the T. Alright, so after I connected my main line to the T connector here, we ran it down along this way, and so I ended up getting an elbow and connected it to this corner, and then now we're running it along all the way over there. So I just turned the valve so that way I can get access to water from my spigot over here. I'm getting water on both ends. I got to one of the ends of the mainline tubing and I have my figure 8 right here. So we're just going to go ahead and cap off this side. and then that should close off this end. I'm gonna go ahead and take my 1/4-inch tubing. I'm gonna make a cut. I'm basically going to feed this one to my citrus tree that I have here near me. So I'm just gonna measure out how much I need. And then this is the little shrubler. I'm just going to insert that all the way in. There we go. And then I have my little barbs here. And I'll connect that to the other end of the 1/4-inch tubing. Perfect, so we got both ends connected, and the next step would be to make a hole in my mainline tubing, and that's what I have this for. And then we would basically just put the barb into the main line right there. Take this, and you want to go ahead and apply some pressure, wiggle it back and forth. Go. So then now I'll take my little shrubler and I'll place it next to my citrus tree. And we will turn on the water to see how it works. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. It's another day. We're out in the garden trying to make a dent up here. We ended up clearing out the edging, the plastic edging we had here. We cut it down, threw it out. We got rid of the last bit of landscape fabric that we had here. We got rid of a lot of big chunks of garbage that was left. We've also ended up finding some tile that was left down here around the edge of the fence. I'm pretty sure I'll find some more along there. But right now I am focusing mostly on just picking up any garbage and pulling out the weeds so we can start clearing the area, so I can have somebody come over, level everything out, and we can add topsoil and get going. Good morning. We're out here this morning. We just got our topsoil delivered. I ended up ordering 3 yards of their highest quality topsoil, so this is good for filling areas where you're going to be growing vegetables and plants. So we're going to go ahead and start moving this to the side yard to fill up the chicken area.
Shoveling the soil over to the chicken area went a lot slower than I anticipated, just because I ended up getting sick and I hardly had any energy. The only reason I decided to keep working while I was sick is because my neighbor brought over his wheelbarrow for me to borrow, and I didn't want to keep it too long. Between my back and forths from the front of the house to the chicken area, you can see I had company. The chickens were roaming and exploring the area the entire time. I think they had a blast scratching all the new dirt around. It was like dirt bath galore for them. It started getting cold and gloomy out, so I put some pep to my step, that way I could start wrapping up for the day before the rain rolled in.
Alright, so this is where we are with our topsoil. Looks like I've gotten a little bit more than half. I'm gonna stop for today because it is getting cold and feels like it might rain.
The next day the sun was out and I was determined to finish hauling over all the dirt. And as you can see, I had Midnight by my side the whole time. Midnight loves to be out in the garden with me. He's perfectly content just laying out in the dirt under the citrus tree. He's my perfect little garden dog. He loves to roam around, nose in the dirt, ready to tackle whatever project we have for the day. And just like that, 32 piles later, I was finally done.
So I'm finally done bringing in all 3 yards of topsoil into the chicken area. It did take me about 2 days to get it done. Mind you, I was sick during the entire process, so it did go a little bit slower. But I'm going to go ahead and start working out all the topsoil just so we can go ahead and get everything evenly dispersed and see where we're at. Okay, so that basically sums up today's video. You ended up seeing me install the drip irrigation all along the chicken area with that 1/2-inch mainline tubing. So when I am ready to plant all of my flowers, I can go ahead and just add 1/4 inch with the straw mat. And then we went ahead and added 3 yards of that high quality topsoil, so that way our flowers can thrive a little bit more, because the soil we originally had here was just that really sandy soil, which is not the best for our flowers. The water will drain right out. This will hopefully help when planting flowers. In our next update, we will be moving the chicken coop into the chicken area so the girls can finally get relocated in over here.
This is now what the chicken area looks like after adding those 3 yards of topsoil. I added about 1 to 2 inches of that topsoil to close off any gaps that might have been. I was also able to cover up all of the drip line tubing that I had previously installed. The plan is to eventually add another inch of shredded mulch into the area. Now I can move forward with building the foundation for the chicken coop. I'm going to use some brick papers so that the pressure wood can sit on top of instead of putting it directly in the dirt. Once I have the foundation laid out, we'll go ahead and move our chicken coop into the chicken area. That's all for today's garden progress. Slow steps, but meaningful ones. Thank you so much for spending a bit of your day with me on the homestead. If you felt a little peace or inspiration here, I'd be so grateful if you like, subscribe, or share with a friend. This space is growing just like the garden, bit by bit, season by season. See you in the next part, and thanks for being part of the journey. Till next time.